The Sunday morning alarm always felt different. The Sunday morning alarm always felt different. The Sunday morning alarm always felt different. It wasn't just a call to wake up. It was an invitation. An invitation from his wife, Sarah, to join her at church. And for the longest time, Ethan's answer was a quiet, hesitant no. He would watch her get ready, her face calm and hopeful. He saw the peace it brought her. But for him, the thought of church was a heavy weight. It felt like a place for people who had it all figured out, a place for perfect families. His own life felt messy. His faith was a tangled knot of questions without easy answers. He wondered if God was even there. And if he was, would he really want someone like Ethan in his house? Ethan's reasons were a collection of old wounds and quiet fears. He remembered being a child, squirming in a hard wooden pew, not understanding the long words from the pulpit. He recalled feeling judged, not for who he was, but for what he wasn't. The church of his memory was a place of rules, not relationship. So he built a wall around his heart, brick by brick. He told himself he could find God on his own. In the quiet of a morning hike, in the beauty of a sunset. He didn't need a building. Walking through the glass doors of the church felt like stepping onto an unfamiliar shore. The sound was the first thing he noticed. Not a somber silence, but a gentle hum of conversation and laughter. People were greeting each other with hugs and handshakes, their faces bright with genuine smiles. A kind-faced man with a warm smile handed him a bulletin. "Glad you're here this morning," he said, and it sounded like he meant it. He followed Sarah into the main sanctuary, his eyes scanning the room, looking for a place to hide in plain sight. He just wanted to be invisible. They found seats near the back. As the music started, Ethan felt a fresh wave of awkwardness. People around him raised their hands. They sang with their eyes closed, voices full of a conviction he couldn't comprehend. He stood when they stood and sat when they sat, feeling like a visitor trying to mimic the local customs. The words on the screen spoke of grace and mercy, but they felt distant, like beautiful words meant for someone else. He felt like an outsider looking in through a window. He could see the warmth inside, but he couldn't feel it. He was there, but he wasn't a part of it. The feeling of being alone was stronger in that crowded room than it had ever been when he was by himself. After the service, Sarah was immediately greeted by friends. Ethan stood slightly behind her, offering a polite but brief smile to anyone who looked his way. As they were about to leave, an older couple, Mark and Linda, approached them. "We haven't seen you here before," Linda said. "I'm Ethan," he managed to say. "It's my first time." Instead of the interrogation he expected, Mark simply smiled. "We're so glad you came. The coffee's not great, but the company is." Ethan agreed to go back the next week, and the week after that. The awkwardness didn't vanish overnight, but it began to fade like a morning fog burning off in the sun. He started to recognize faces. He learned the names that went with the smiles. Mark and Linda made a point to find him and Sarah every Sunday. They asked about his week with sincere interest. David discovered Ethan's love for fishing and invited him to a Saturday morning trip. Sitting in a boat on the quiet water, they talked about more than lures and lines. They talked about struggles at work, worries about their kids, and questions of faith. Ethan realized he wasn't the only one with doubts. Then a storm hit Ethan's life. His company announced unexpected layoffs. His name was on the list. The ground beneath his feet gave way. Fear and uncertainty became his constant companions. He felt adrift, lost in a sea of anxiety about the future. That evening, his phone buzzed. It was David. "Hey, I heard about the news at your work. Just wanted you to know I'm praying for you. Let me know if you need anything at all. I mean it." Ethan was stunned. Someone he barely knew cared. The next few days were a blur of unexpected support. Calls and texts. Someone dropped off a home-cooked meal. Mark offered to look over his resume and connect him with contacts. They simply showed up. They sat with him in his uncertainty. They reminded him he wasn't alone. The church wasn't just a building. It was people carrying each other's burdens. They were becoming his anchors in the middle of a raging storm. One Sunday, the pastor spoke about God being our refuge. For the first time, the words didn't feel distant. Ethan looked at the faces who had called, prayed, and shown up. God's refuge often looks like his people. His faith, once a tiny flame, was being fanned and protected by the community around him. Months passed. Ethan found a new job, an even better fit for him. The crisis had passed, but the connections remained, forged in difficulty and stronger. Sundays were no longer a source of hesitation. He looked forward to them, not just for Sarah, but for himself. He got ready with Sarah, heart filled with gratitude, to see friends, to be encouraged, to encourage others. He joined the welcome team standing at the door, remembering the simple kindness that made him feel seen. He wanted to be that person. The church was no longer strangers, it was family. He celebrated a baby being born, he mourned a loved one passing, he served at the local food pantry. He laughed over coffee, he prayed with them when life was hard. His faith journey wasn't a solo hike, it was a shared walk. Friends picked him up when he stumbled and cheered him on when he felt strong. Big questions about God remained, but he had a safe place to ask them, surrounded by people on the same journey. The church wasn't a museum for saints, it was a hospital for sinners, for the broken, the questioning, the messy. Not pretending to be perfect, but being present in imperfection, leaning on a grace bigger than failures. The real church was the people, love of God shown through everyday actions, a helping hand, a listening ear, a shared prayer. It was community. Sunday morning alarm rings. Ethan smiles. He remembers the man he was, full of doubt, standing outside looking in, thankful for that first hesitant step.